Catelin. But you haven't.
Welcome to this episode of The Plague, brought to you by Cocktails, Tangents, and Answers.
Yeah, because you've got a slightly different voice today.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is what I always sound this bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Exactly. Exactly. And there we go. There's the evidence of it. A little
Oh
bit of
my
a clean up.
gosh.
So Caitlin, she feels marginal, she said. So not
I feel
terrible.
better than I did over the weekend, but
Ugh.
still it's I sound like I've been chain smoking in my apartment in New York for like the last 40 years.
She'll just take a drag on
I've been
that
waiting for this
cigar.
moment to be able to bust out my Bronx grandmother accent.
So we are here and dedicated to bringing you an episode this week, though, because we are back and we are catching up. And so Zach said, "No, we have to record. Do not delay." So here we are, and
We're
today
not
is
delaying. I will do anything for you, Zach, including prostrate myself on the altar of I don't know, flu. I think it's the flu.
flu's been going around, and some people are getting it mild, and some people are getting nailed. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, this is not
Can
about that.
recommend the send your kid to grandma's house and sleep for 48 hours. I think that's the trick to kicking this thing.
That
So,
makes sense to me because I mean, you do need
yeah.
rest. Of course, you need
Yeah.
rest, and you can get some
Unsolicited
rest
health
when we're
advice
done.
today as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and today is your favorite attire for our cocktail, hot pants.
Yeah.
Um, we love
Here's the
some
thing.
good hot pants.
I was thinking about this as I was preparing for the episode, and I have actually, in my head, I was like, the only place that I find it appropriate to wear hot pants is a Taylor Swift concert. But then I
Okay.
remembered that I wore my Eras Tour outfit for a presentation day,
Mm-hmm.
which technically included what I would consider hot pants. So I have
Mm.
actually worn hot pants to
To
the
work.
office. So I can't be as judgy as I once thought.
There we go. So Caitlin, not a fan of hot pants in the last episode, if you recall, has now sort of got
However,
rolled that back a little
I've
bit.
rescinded my judgment.
She doesn't
To
like
each
being a
their own.
hypocrite. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, so today, and Jessica's going to join us here in a little bit, and we're going to talk about some HubSpot features you might be overlooking or missing out on. So that'll be
Not a lot to
exciting.
overlook in a hot pant, though.
No,
You
no, the
can
hot
see
pant
everything.
just puts it all right out there.
All on
Um,
display.
but I do believe, Caitlin, like as we come to the hot pants cocktail, which is the name for
Yes.
this episode,
Beverage.
you had the privilege of actually, because we're recording in the morning, like it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. So we are not drinking. We're drinking coffee, but you
I
had the
have tea.
privilege. You sent your in-home bartender slash husband out on an errand to gather ingredients last night, and
It's
he
the
was
only time he doesn't get annoyed when I'm like, hey, can you run to the store? And he's like, oh, it's for a cocktail recipe? I'll be right back.
nice. So
He had already
everything.
changed into his soft pants. And he was like, yes, let me go put on
Oh, he put on
soft
hard
pants that are
pants.
appro-"
Oh,
Yeah.
appropriate soft
Yep.
pants for yeah. There's indoor soft
Yep.
pants.
Because was still wearing his like flannel shirt, and then he put on his like flannel soft pants, but they're not the same flannel or
Got
plaid.
it. Oh,
It was a look.
interesting. So yeah, so he went out for that. So
Hmm.
do you ever do like, hey, I need some things, and he says it's for a cocktail recipe, and you're like, sure. I need flour. I need eggs.
No,
No, he
he's
sees
smarter
through
than that.
that. Oh,
Eggs could be for a cocktail recipe though,
that
because
is
he
true.
loves a flip.
That is true.
That man
Eggs
loves
can
a
be.
flip. Hmm.
But no flip in the hot pants. The people in hot pants do flips. That does happen. The
That's
Dallas
true.
Cowboys cheerleaders do
Not this
flips in.
gal. Yeah.
That would have been wild
Yes, he
in our office.
went. He was more than happy to oblige the request for a live tasting. Um, he provided much more succinct notes than I did. We have some audio from
Yeah, for
my
your
live
reaction.
tasting. Included in the background of that audio is the child that bequeathed this plague to me. So, results may vary,
All right,
but
so
I
I think Zach's gonna throw that in here so everybody can know what we're talking about because you literally did a live
will treat.
tasting with
Yeah.
video and sent it to us in Slack. So we'll give a beat for him to do that. and then we'll talk about it.
Live tasting notes for you, Zach. Please note that this is done with the cold, so results may vary. I don't know if it's my like current health situation, but it reminds me of like a Hall's Breezer. Do you remember those? I don't think mint and grapefruit are meant to be together. I'm gonna ask Tyrell for his opinion too, but that's a no from me.
All right, so I suppose before we talk about the cocktail, though, we should probably tell people what's in it so they understand your reaction to it.
Yeah.
So 2 ounces of reposado tequila. I love a good reposado. That's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
3/4 of an ounce of fresh grapefruit juice. We've definitely taken a turn here. 1/2 ounce of mint tea simple syrup. That is a hard left turn. And then 5 to 6 mint leaves. Okay, so mint, grapefruit, and tequila. Okay, sure.
It's
a look.
It wasn't my favorite. Yeah.
So you have to combine everything.
Well, first to note, make the mint tea simple syrup is boil water, pour over mint leaves and stems, allow to steep for about 10 minutes, strain out the leaves, and then add an equal volume of sugar.
Yeah, so you did note this is a 1-to-1 water to sugar versus a regular simple syrup that's like a 2-to-1 sugar to water.
2-to-1. Yeah, and that was one of Tyrell's notes, is that he usually does like a 2-to-1. I'm trying to, yeah.
But that the 1-to-1 was actually appropriate for this because it would have pushed it way too sweet if you'd done a regular 2-to-1 simple.
Yep.
So you put all that stuff in a mixing tin and shake it with ice. Strain it into a rocks glass. Over a large craft ice cube. You could do round or square. You can also just use regular ice if you don't have craft ice. It's totally fine.
Yep.
And then garnish with a grapefruit twist. Yeah, okay, so it's punch. I don't know if I would like this one. Tyrell was cool with it, right, though? Like, he liked it.
He did. Yeah, he said it was a little bit one note, but he'd take another go at it with an unaged tequila that had more of the vegetal instead of like a floral to kind of balance, I think.
Now, I'm guessing you would do this and just replace the tequila with gin and probably have a lovely time.
No, so here's the thing is I love a Paloma. It was the mint for me.
It's the mint and the grapefruit together.
We talked about it after he had a couple more sips, and he said that he thought there was something in the reposado that he used that mixed with the mint that kind of went menthol. Because like and that's not my...
I think that's on purpose. So in looking at the background of this, it was invented in Baltimore, Maryland by a woman named Tammy. Hey, Tammy.
This is a recipe by a woman named Tammy.
Yeah, and it was originally tequila, peppermint schnapps, grapefruit juice, and powdered sugar.
Ugh.
So when you say it went a little menthol, there is nothing more menthol to me than peppermint
honestly
schnapps.
And here's the thing. That's what has caused this voice. It's like, run down to the corner store, get me another pack of menthols.
Oh my goodness. It was also introduced in 1974, so remember, like, this is like my time growing up before most of you all were born. But hopefully people listening understand. But this is also the time of like Jell-O trying to get you to do savory Jell-Os and Spam trying to figure out how you can do. Like, everybody was trying to make you eat things in a way they weren't intended to sell more stuff. And honestly, it could have been that they just had peppermint schnapps on hand because nobody was drinking it, and she figured this out and made it.
Peppermint schnapps is for hot cocoa. Everyone knows that.
Well,
so I just want to do like slightly correct you on something.
I was just going to jump in.
Okay, she didn't invent the cocktail. She helped like kind of like, I guess, like change it for a modern palate. So
she took out the schnapps. The schnapps was in there from an old-timey thing.
Yeah, so I think the original recipe was from a specific book.
The old Mr. Boston Official Bartender's Guide in 1974. So that's the original with schnapps. Tammy is the one who went, this is disgusting. We should instead do this with mint tea leaves because that'll be more bougie. So, well, God bless her for trying. I think I can't decide if I would like this or not. We do have mint leaves at home because we needed them for some sort of a lamb thing that we're doing. I don't know, for dinner. I would just have to go get a grapefruit, and then we have all of the rest of this stuff at home.
Yeah. You should try. I mean, you should try it. I think I would try it again without this
Yeah, you've got your
situation. The
taster is
nasal.
off anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so with that, I think we can put that hot pants away.
Please, can we put this to bed?
The hot pants will go into a drawer and wait for summer, along with their cocktail, and we'll be back after the little party break with Jessica.
We're back.
We are back.
Jessica.
With Caitlin's gravelly voice and Jessica, who has her usual voice. Hey,
Good
Jessica.
morning. Hi.
So sunny. Good morning. She sounds like Cinderella with the birds helping her get dressed.
Because I also have my coffee this morning, so it's really the only thing getting me through.
Well, and I know the room she's in, and honestly, if it was warmer, if it was like spring or summer, she could flip open that garage door window and maybe the birds would come in and
I'd be singing with the birds like a Disney freaking princess.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I'm sure you do plenty
Disney
of that
princess
at home.
would you choose?
Oh, I don't know. It's too early for that kind of icebreaker question, Caitlin. You know this.
Not Elsa.
Icebreaker.
Not Elsa, because we're over the cold.
No, and
The
Hadley,
cold
my
does
daughter,
bother us.
would
anyway.
absolutely freak out if I tried to take Elsa because she would always pick Elsa, so there's no way I could pick her. You can't have two.
Fair enough.
It reminds me of Kristen Bell's daughters dressing up as Elsa. And she was like, what the fuck?
For anyone who's not aware, because she plays Anna, who is Elsa's sister, and they didn't want to be her.
Are people not aware? I knew that before I had
Some people
kids.
might not. Yeah, but...
I don't know if I know she's married to
before I
Dax
had a
Shepard.
child.
I know she's married to
See?
Dax Shepard.
Rich didn't know.
You didn't know that
was
she used the
Anna.
voice of a Disney princess?
No.
The more you know.
I did
Anna of
not.
Arendelle?
No, but it makes
Queen
sense.
Anna now, after Frozen
Well,
2.
spoiler alert. Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
that's true.
Way to go. I haven't seen
That
it.
movie has been out for 5 years.
Thanks. Spoiling it. All right. Well, no spoilers here. Just things that you may have missed, like not knowing that Anna was played by Kristen Bell. I was going to say who knew, but apparently you both knew, and I didn't.
That's correct.
But we're going to talk a
Zach,
little bit
you
today.
can let us know if you knew at some point.
Zach is definitely into the Disney princesses.
He's like, I'm not popping in for that. Move on.
Although
You can
Funko
slack
Pop
me later.
Elsa, he might have Funko Pop Elsa. I don't know.
That's true.
So we're going to talk about HubSpot again, and we're going to talk about some features that you might be missing if you're using it. We do a ton of HubSpot onboardings, like upwards of about 100 a year now, and it's one of our core businesses and core pieces of things. We also manage HubSpot for clients and for ourselves. So we're in there constantly, and these are some things that we find out that people have this kind of, aha, I didn't know you could do that when we're going through an onboarding or showing them things. So with that, not sensing any other tangents at the moment. Jessica, do you want to jump into one? Like what, do you have a favorite
Sure.
from the list?
Ooh, I don't know about a favorite, but I will say that if you're using HubSpot, these are things that everyone can do on their own. They're not like difficult things to get into, but they're things that you might be missing. So
yeah.
don't be afraid to go in and dig for it. This is not something that you. It's not rocket science.
It's just, sometimes things get missed in a setting or in a menu. My favorite is that HubSpot continues to move things around in the menus. That's one of my favorites. When I log in to do an onboarding and I'm like, where did that go? And they think I'm an idiot. And I'm like, no, because I swear yesterday that was in a different spot in the menu. I know it was.
I demonstrated this to someone. We shared screens in the same meeting, and their menu was different than my menu. And I was like,
Correct.
see, I'm not crazy.
Yeah, I
It's
have
not
one who-
me.
I have one who
This
opted
time.
into
It's
some help desk beta feature that's like all private, and I was like, I tried to get us into it so that I could understand it, and they're like, oh no, that's like selective people only, and I'm like, then why is this brand new hub in this for select people only, and how am I supposed to talk to them about it if I can't play with it? So anyway, that's not what we're here for. We're not here for
That's
so
a
much
tangent.
for I was like so much
I
for
know.
not
Like a
another
rant.
tangent.
A
right off the
rangent.
edge. Oh,
Okay.
Is that a rant and a tangent? Is that what a rangent is?
Oh, are we combining things again today? Let's not even start that.
No,
We're not
we had a
doing that.
bad combination yesterday.
We're not doing
We will
that.
not share that. So Jessica, your favorite
Okay.
HubSpot feature that gets overlooked?
Ooh, not my
Or
favorite.
just one.
But
All right, just one.
I think that the first one we can start with is the never log list.
Yes.
So this is an area in HubSpot where you can put specifically, I always recommend for any company that we're working with, put your company's domain in the never log list so that if you and just one of your employees are emailing back and forth, it doesn't create a contact and log it in your system.
So you're emailing
also
HR.
like an HR best practice,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're
There's
emailing
things-
HR about someone. I had a client who was like, hey, everybody can see all of our internal emails. And I'm like, you didn't set up the Neverlog list like we talked about.
Well, and there's 2 places to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can set up, super admins can set up a portal-wide Neverlog list that would include things like your company domain or like vendors that you don't want,
Your
if you have
lawyer's
private vendor.
domain, your accountant's
Yes.
domain.
But there's also individual Neverlog lists. So I had one client who put like because he just had one email. So he didn't want to manage a work email and a personal email. So he had one email address that he used for everything. So he put like his personal accountant and his wife and his kid's school teacher on his personal Neverlog list while we built out the organizational Neverlog list.
Yeah, I do wish, and maybe I'll jump into the community and suggest this. I feel like HubSpot should just, as a best practice, default to putting your company domain on the Neverlog list. Because it's only, so Jessica, if I'm outside your domain and I email you and Catelin who are in the domain, what happens to that?
So it would still log that email because you have an external client.
Right.
Like if you worked for another company and your domain was obviously different than ours, it would create a contact for you. It would still log all those emails because it needs to be for that contact. But it wouldn't, if Caitlin and I were just emailing each other, it wouldn't log that.
Yep. Perfect. I, of course, knew the answer to that, but I
Of
wanted you
course.
to share.
What a softball.
I know, but that's one that I have to explain to people because they're like, so then if I'm on
What
it
if
and
I'm
I
on there?
email
Yeah.
somebody else,
Yep.
does it not log anything? And I'm like, no, it's only if that's the only domain. But same thing, if it's you and your accountant and both of those domains are on the Neverlog list, it's not going to create a contact or log that.
Just
Because
keeps
people
everything
do-
a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, and people do go through and look at contacts and read emails.
I don't know who you would be talking about.
I don't either. We have no one in our company who ever does that just to see what's going on with an interesting situation. Sometimes it's like a soap opera like script as you're going back through it being like, wow, this is interesting.
Well, and to that point, it is also helpful in terms of institutional knowledge. Like when you are consistently logging emails, there can be some nuance that gets lost in client notes or reports, or it is helpful to have that historical perspective.
Yep, or
If you
you're-
need to go back and reference things.
and you're out sick, you're on vacation, and somebody
Yeah,
else needs
exactly.
to take over for you, they can jump in and see what the last emails were that you guys exchanged and be at least informed before they reach out or like try to help somebody.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And that one blows my mind, but yeah, it should just be a default. Your own domain should just be default in there always, whatever domain you open your portal with, but it's not. I'm going to jump into the ideas form and put that in there.
Right. Are you ready for another one? Okay. So this one came up recently on one of my onboarding calls, actually. And with the HubSpot meeting links, you can do group links to where it is going to check everyone's calendar, or you can do round robin links. So if the 3 of us, for instance, because we are all Sales Pro users, we could be on a round robin meeting link, and then every time a new one comes in, it would rotate through. But this particular client wanted to make sure that if it was a known contact, it would go to whoever was the contact owner. And I know we have one like this as well, already set up that we use, and you can check a little box that says prioritize the existing contact owner. So you don't ever have to worry about, if one of my clients emailed, they wouldn't get randomly assigned to Rich or Catelin. They would always be assigned to me, even if it wasn't my turn in the round robin.
Yep. And that's extremely handy, because a lot of times, like, we'll have existing clients just use our meeting link on the website to schedule a meeting, and then it schedules with me and Jesse and Jessica, and then we have to go through and like remove the people who don't need it, or if it's Caitlin's, we have to add you and then remove us, and it just gets a little weird. But that's a really neat one. I think there's a few other places that you can prioritize the existing contact owner as well. So like even in workflows and some other places.
I always suggest in emails, like, to say, like, personalize. If you're doing marketing emails, you can say default to the contact owner and use the reply to as the contact owner. So even if it is a marketing email, you can make it look like it's coming from that person's contact at your company, and just adds that little bit of personalization to it too.
You can also do it in like templates that you're using in sequences where you want to include a meeting link. You don't want to have a template version for every employee in your company that you would have sending out them. So you could have it be whoever is the sender's meeting link, and then it would just default personalization token, drop that in so that the individual that's sending it doesn't have to actually drop it in every time.
Yep, and the only caveat on that is it has to use their default meeting link. So like I have like 20, 25 meeting links because I have some for different stuff. I've got combo links. And I had to make sure when we set that up for us that my default link would work for kind of all situations. So I have it set for like schedule 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, you choose. And everybody chooses the wrong thing no matter what you tell them. But at least they get it scheduled and I can make it adjust, later.
So one thing I will say is all of the meeting link stuff that we've just been talking about is all for like professional paid seat users. But one thing I always like to let people know, because I love the meeting link so much, is that every user in your system actually gets a free meeting link. Yes, just one. So even if you don't have a paid seat, but you're a user and you want to make your life more efficient with your scheduling of meetings, set up your meeting link and send it, because no one loves the back and forth emails of I'm available on Tuesday at 3. Oh, I'm not. What days are you available? And it saves so much time to just connect your calendar, have that one meeting link that you can use for your contacts. Even if you don't have all of the permissions as a paid user, it's a benefit that everybody can take advantage of.
I used to tell, like, before I understood more in depth about HubSpot, I was like, the meetings tool will pay for itself in like a week, just with the time saved.
Well, and that's like if
not
they're
having to
paying for
email back and
Calendly.
forth.
Yeah, and if they're paying for Calendly, it's like, well, if you have more than one
Exactly.
meeting link, you'll need Pro, like, or at least Starter. But everybody gets one, and like even if you don't have the Sales Hub at all, you're only a Marketing Hub group, everybody gets a meeting link. I think that's a whole episode. We should probably put a pin in that, Zach. All of the free stuff you can do in HubSpot without having anything, because there's not a huge ton, but there's quite a bit that you can do. So that's another meeting, another topic.
Yeah, some of it includes like HubSpot branding, but on a meeting link, who cares? Like everybody knows that you're sending a Zoom link. If you have a Calendly link, I think it says Calendly all over it, no matter what. So does it really matter if you're just trying to use it as a scheduling tool? No.
So those are two good ones, and we're doing really great on time today. Like, I'm impressed with us. Jessica's always efficient. She's like, let's just hammer these out.
She's got other stuff to do.
It's the morning. There's too many things.
There's one on here that I wasn't aware of, actually. It's your fourth bullet point on reporting.
Reports collections?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as we said earlier, HubSpot is constantly making updates and changing the menus and all of that. So one thing that they've more recently done, like in the last few months, I think I kind of see it updating every day, is they've always had preset dashboards that you could select to be able to set up and utilize their default reports. But now when you go under reporting and into reports, there are actually below the list of all the reports you've saved, there's report collections. And when you click into them, you can actually get some of those preset reports, but they're a little more refined. You don't have to dig through them. You don't have to know the exact name of the report that you're looking for if you're searching. So it just makes it more efficient to be able to set up your reporting just a little bit quicker and be able to find it. Like if you don't save it on a dashboard and you just want to be able to access sales outcomes or something along those lines, you can actually just jump in and see it from there.
Yeah, and I do remember this now. They've grouped all of that stuff, like, because it was in the beginning just your sales analytics were all together like that. And now it's like everything. And it's stuff like it's logical terms, right? Like these are a group of reports that sales managers might want. These are a group of reports that marketing managers might want, that sales people might want, you know, report on your team's performance. Like they're grouped in ways that are like, this is what I want to do. These are probably the ones that I want.
Like if you want to look at, like one section is forecasts and pipelines. So you can literally dive into the deal reporting, super easy, be able to get an idea of where you're at for the quarter or the year or whatever without having to recreate or do custom reporting, because you can always adjust filters on the HubSpot
Well, and you can
default
add
reports.
data points too. Like
Exactly.
it doesn't, it's
You
not
can
like this
customize
is
any
the
of
only
them.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my recommendations is don't reinvent the wheel. Find a report that's close to what you want that might not be exact, and then hit that edit button and go and customize and go in and customize it. And even if it's like, oh, I want this exact like structure and format and look, but I want it on a completely different metric, totally fine. Go in and add your metric and remove the one that they've got. It doesn't always work, but most of the time you can make that work.
The other thing I always ask when people want these like really granular, specific reports is why. Like,
What are
like
you going to
what?
do with it?
Yeah, like what point in your business is this serving? And they usually are like, well, I just want to know. And it's like, but aren't we knowing that by this other thing that's like like use the tool, obviously. And if you can get it to spit out what you're specifically looking for, then great. But more often than not, what you're after or pretty dang close to it is in the canned reports, and you can just move on. Like you don't have to spend your time toiling, especially if data is not your strong suit, which is hello, hi
Well,
me.
and it's designed right. It's for marketers, not for data analysts. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
I've used other CRMs and other marketing automation tools that you do have to hire like a group of analysts to build things for you and look at things. And a lot of times when we're on with marketers, that's one. Yeah. If you take them into like, I've stopped taking people to the start a custom report from scratch thing.
Blech. No.
They just are overwhelmed. Like I'm overwhelmed in there, and I know what I'm doing and how to move stuff around, but it's a lot of trial and error. And I do think HubSpot's done a great job of predicting, like, we think you might want these reports, and there's tons of them in there. And even if you're going to customize a report, there are ways to start it without starting from just a blank slate.
I mean, it also speaks to the fact that HubSpot listens when people put stuff in the community. To say like, hey, I've been trying to do this for a year. Where's it at? And they're like, oh, let's put it on the roadmap and figure it out. And then those types of things bubble up. Because I remember when I started getting deeper into HubSpot, and it was like, you need to be able to teach people how to build reports. And I was like, well, then just fire me because I will never be able to figure that out. But now I have a pretty good understanding, partially because I've learned more, but also because they have made starting from scratch less necessary from the canned stuff that's available.
Well, and I think going back to your point about it's built for marketers and not data analysts. There are some companies that have never had a system where they can pull reports, so they don't even know what they want.
Oh, yeah.
And the preset lists at least give you an idea of where to start. You're like, oh, I didn't even know I could do something like that, or I didn't know that data would be in there. So you can at least use that as your starting point. And then if you want to tweak it, go for it. But at least you know where you can begin. Yep. You know what's possible.
Yeah, reports used to be kind of a black hole for people, and now it's like, oh, like I don't have to just have this boring Excel list. I can actually, and I'm like, you can do a visualization, you can do a table. That's the other thing I think. All of those reports have a visual that's like
It'll
a
give you
chart.
the option to change all the
Yep.
little.
And there's
Yeah.
a table underneath it, and you can, if you like the table view, you can save the table view. If you like the chart view, you can save the chart. If you like them both, you can put both of them on a dashboard next to each other or below each other. It's totally fine.
I love it when people are like, "Can I see it in a list?" I'm like, "Well, yeah."
Just click it.
Like you can just click
Well-
into it, or you could make a list. But also, yeah, you can save it as a table. Here you go.
Who knew, like 8 years ago or whatever it was, 7 years ago when we started doing HubSpot stuff, that we'd be sitting here on a podcast geeking out about the reports tool. Would not have pegged that. Not on my bingo card.
So the reports tool is not necessarily my biggest geek out. Workflows.
Yeah, girl.
I love a good workflow.
And you've got one on here that is a ridiculous eye opener for most people that you can do it, and I love it.
Right. So if you have been in the workflow tool, you know that there are an endless list, it feels like, of options of what you can do with the actions in a workflow. One of my favorite ones, and one that I use in, I would say, 75 to 85% of all workflows, is that you can either copy or set property values in a workflow.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I have a client that they have a couple of deal pipelines for different pieces of their business, and they need to copy like the deal name and the amount and some of the other date properties from one deal pipeline to another because they want two separate deals. They don't want to just move the deal from pipeline to pipeline. So they could actually say, create a new deal and then copy from this record to this record. Or setting properties, like you want to set a life cycle stage based on how they're moving through your pipeline or something along those lines. Or if they've filled out a form, you want to set them to a special type of form. You want to set a specific contact type maybe. You can put all of those in there and the workflow will just do it for you. So it doesn't have to be a manual process of when you see someone come through, you have to go in and select a property and set it.
Yep, and so my favorite is the copy. And it's because I had a client who's like, hey, so like we're seeing that like the company name says, blah, 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 Inc., but on the individual contact record, it just says blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have the Inc. And I want to make sure that what's on the company record is always what's on every contact record. And it's like, oh, well, you just do a workflow that's copy property company from company record to contact record company field. And they're like, whoa. And it's like, yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I did it with like, they wanted contact type and company type to match. So if it was a vendor they were always updating their company record. So they wanted it to match on all the contacts. I was like, well, yeah, that's easy. You can do it in a workflow. Like just set it here. And they were like, this is amazing. It's saving us so much time.
Yep. You can also set owners. Like you can actually take existing contacts. And there was one I had, and they're like, we have all these old owners that shouldn't be in here. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk through how we can do this with a workflow. Like one, we can clear out those people if you know like the 10 that are supposed to be there. If owner is not one of these 10, clear it. Then we can say anybody who doesn't have a contact owner, put them through a round robin. Or if you have zones or whatever, we can put them through there. So I think clearing a property is also a handy one sometimes. The other one for me is you can delete a contact from a workflow now. And it's like, so for me, it's the, if it comes in and we know it's a spam bot, we can automatically delete it. Or if it's, you can choose kind of, anybody who hasn't responded in the last year. I don't want to just archive them. I just want to delete them. Like most people will archive them because you can store those contacts, set them as non-marketing. But workflows have so much power, and it's especially just for data management. And I'll have sales pros that'll be like, well, "What am I going to use a workflow for? Like if I can't send marketing emails with Sales Pro?" And I'm like, "Oh, you could do all kinds of things." And honestly, if your leads are coming in from a form. Or even from an email, like we can do stuff with that, like in a workflow.
Well, and like salespeople, no offense, are terrible at data cleanliness. So
True.
like
The
either
worst.
oh God, and God bless them because they're so busy trying to cold call and send emails and like do all of the outreach. That's not a skill set I have. I don't want to do it. But you can leverage both workflows and then kind of dovetailing on that, like forcing in deal pipelines before you can move from one stage to the next, requiring fields, which is a workflow, right? It's an automation. You can require them to fill out certain fields before things progress. So
As
at
a
the bare minimum,
manager, that is
yes.
something you should always be doing. Because
And
if
that's the
you
thing
are
is like,
complaining about people not filling it out, like set those rules, make them do it. I
yep.
hate it when people are like, well, I can't get my sales team to fill out these properties. I'm like,
And you have a
well,
shitty
no, you really
process.
can.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can make those required 100%.
It's funny to me like how quickly bad processes fall apart when you try and automate them. Like that is to me the number one indicator of a poor process. Is like if you can't automate it and repeat it every time, it's like then you don't have a process.
Well, and I had one that they're like, we're not really great at following up with form like requests. Like we're great at emails that come in, and we're not really great at following up with form requests. And the one that they just unveiled in like October is you could now, with just Sales Pro, you don't need Enterprise. You can enroll somebody in a sequence from a form fill.
Yep.
So they fill out this sales request form. You can actually, so no salesperson has to even email them. You just start that sequence. And then if they reply via email, which they said they were good at, boom, you're good to go. And it's
Yeah.
not just a thanks for filling out the form. It's a, hey, I see you requested a demo of XYZ product. Use my meeting link to schedule a demo. And then following up with them like 3 or 4 times to try to get that to happen. You can also now finally unenroll from a sequence based on a form fill, which is huge because it used to just be schedule a meeting, reply to an email, schedule a meeting, reply to an email. And so now you can choose a specific form or any form to unenroll them from. Because like for us, we try to collect info, right, from like new clients or whatever it might be. And once they fill out the form, we don't need to bug them about filling out the form because they
Oh, this is blowing my mind right now.
Well, like think about it. If you were doing, like you wanted them to register for an event or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And they're not replying back to your email. They're not scheduling a meeting. They're registering. So you can put that form in your sequence. And as soon as they take that action from in your template, done. They don't get the follow up.
Baby.
Yep. Yeah, and you get to that through the sequence feature. That's an important note. Like once, and you have to save your sequence before it ungrays. But there's an automation thing, and you can hit create workflow, and then that's where you get the option to enroll or unenroll from a form. And there's one other thing in there, I can't remember what it is, but there's very limited options that you can do in Pro. I mean, in Enterprise, you can do anything you want to. You can put a sequence in the middle of a workflow if you want, like anything.
For enough money, you can do whatever you want.
Well, and that's like everything,
build it
right?
for you.
But the fact that in Pro you can do that, because Sales Pro is not that expensive, it's a few $100s a month or whatever.
No,
It's one of the more affordable tools, and if you automate that stuff, you can do so much more. So automation is
one
so
of my
important.
Like the arguments that I love to push back on when I hear it is, well, we want to make sure that the sales team is still being held accountable for doing all of these things. I'm like, okay, I get that. You want to make sure that they're actually doing the work to like nurture and bring in this business. But if you're automating some of the stuff that they're getting stuck on, they can focus on actually doing the follow-up and selling your product or your service or whatever it is, instead of making sure that they're updating or moving a deal along a pipeline and things like that. Like automate the things that don't really matter and let them focus, and the software is going to pay for itself.
Well, and also what's more important, making 500 cold calls and seeing that they made 500 cold calls this week, or seeing that they closed 10 deals this week? Like obviously closing 10 deals is more important. So let the software make those cold calls and follow up on that, or those cold emails. Oops, geez, I'm talking with my hands. And then as people respond or are interested, they'll come back. You can actually reach out to far more people and, just touch base.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. It speaks to scale too. So like if your goal is to grow your business, put this process in place now when you have 3 salespeople, where you can't, like if you want to know exactly what activities they're doing, that's fine. That's doable with 3 salespeople.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you get to 5? Then what are you going to do when you get to 10? How
Well,
do
and
you
also
scale that process?
if you're looking at tracking activities, they're in there. So utilize
Yes.
the software. You can see how many emails they're sending. You can see how many calls
Right.
they're making and what those call outcomes are. So you actually get a more accurate, I think, depiction of what your team is doing on a day-to-day basis.
Last one.
The last one actually is one that I think, Caitlin, you are more of an expert on because I think you've been dealing with it, which is a support ticket inbox, which I think is like an offshoot of the regular conversation inbox.
Yeah, so Adriana's been dealing with this actually. For
Yeah, I was
one
like,
of our
I
friendly
think you're
clients.
overstating.
So
I would never.
when you've got a support form linked to an inbox or a support email linked to an inbox, you can have it create tickets automatically from that inbox. So the other thing that's nice about it is when the ticket gets closed, the conversation gets closed. They're always linked.
And you can automate the conversation being closed. And the closing the loop with the client.
Can you tell we like automation?
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole inbox thing, that could be an episode all on its own too.
Honestly.
And again, everybody gets one free inbox. Like we have our general inbox. We also have an accounts payable inbox. And as I was explaining to one of my clients, it's like, because if one of Caitlin's clients, we send invoices out from our AP email address. So if one of Caitlin's clients replies back with a question about her invoice, I don't need to deal with that. Jessica doesn't need to deal with that. It needs to go straight to Caitlin. And we have Service Pro, so we can route that straight to Caitlin because she's the contact owner. And anything that's not going directly to somebody, either Jessica or I take care of, or we delete, or because there's still some crap in there, like this is just a receipt. Well, I took care of that earlier, so just close it. But those are really, really handy. But everybody gets one that you can have, and it's very, very, I don't know, it's a really underutilized feature.
Well, and I think we've been talking a lot about like different features of like pro and whatever, but utilizing those free features and the things that are included can really show you if there's going to be a benefit to purchasing the starter suite or, you know, the starter piece of it or the pro.
Yep.
And if you're going to utilize it, because if you start using a meeting link and you're just like, oh, I love this. I wish I could do different ones, or I wish we could do a round robin or group meetings, then that might be a selling point that convinces you that like, yeah, it's definitely going to be worth it. Same thing with the inboxes. Like if the conversations inbox that you're using, the free one, is really saving your team a ton of time, but you're like, oh, we could also use it for X, Y, and Z.
Or we'd like to automate
you're getting
this.
that use case.
You know, we'd like to automate it, and well, you need Pro to automate. Yeah, it's really, I don't know, just using some of those things that are in there and free can really help you. That's part of why they make them free, right? They want you to kind of be like, oh, this is useful. I should upgrade. Like, I should go do this. And like request a demo. Like sometimes you can do your own 14-day trial of different things.
And also
play with
not
that.
to get like salesy for us, but like you can always reach out, and we help people every day figure out what's going to be the best, or if there's a workaround for something, because you really can't afford some of these things. Will the free work for you? Because we love to help people in HubSpot, but we don't have a skin in the game necessarily on what you pick. We just want to help make it most efficient. So like we are happy to answer questions along those lines too.
Yep. Yeah.
That 100%. Is a great call to action, Jessica.
I agree. I feel like that's a good place to end it. I'm also looking at the time and thinking that Zach, if he had his camera on, would be nodding like, wrap it up.
Get it over with.
So, thank you, Jessica, so much for jumping in and helping us out.
Anytime.
It was really great. Anytime.
Don't.
You heard it. Anytime.
Honestly. She
Zach,
likes us, y'all.
We got her on the record.
Obviously. I spend all day, every day with you fools.
True.
But she likes us enough to talk to us on a microphone. We got a hot pant. We got a hot mic. Here we go.
Perfect. All right. So we gave you some tips on some features that are less used in HubSpot, but I think the biggest tip was play around, look for those free things, you know, do that trial, dig around a little bit.
Capitalize on what you're already.
Yep. I mean, I say this with a grain of salt because I've seen people like nuke things and break things pretty badly, but it's rare. You can't. It's really pretty hard to break something big time in HubSpot.
It's unfuck-upable.
You can. Like, I've seen some people who either take their whole website down or even if you delete the entire contacts list, though, you can get it back unless you.
But yeah, you can unfuck it. You can unfuck it.
It's not.
All right.
It's
we
not,
just
like,
wanted the
undoable.
explicit on this podcast episode. And now
Caitlin did it
Yeah.
first. I
did.
All right. So we want to thank everybody for listening, of course, and for dealing with our voices, Caitlin's voice, and a cocktail that
Don't
seemed
apologize for this. This is a
fairly-
pleasure.
It's perfectly fine. I appreciate that you showed up because you could have said, no, I'm not doing this. And I would have
You
just
told me that it was not optional.
I said
Not
I could
you.
just do this.
Zach
with
was like,
Jessica.
maybe. He said it in his sweet Zach way, but he was like, yeah, we're doing it tomorrow.
He's like, yeah, we need an episode in 2 days, so I need you
We've
to
got
do
a
this.
deadline.
Fuck up, cowgirl.
So as always, definitely give us some feedback. We'll give you a note here in a minute on how to do that. But you can always thumbs up. You can recommend to a friend. Give us a rating, all of that. Hopefully you're enjoying all of this stuff.
Yeah. You can find us at antidote71.com or antidote_71. As Rich said, if you have a question or you'd like to send some comments our way, you can go to ctapodcast.live. Send us a little message via a HubSpot form. Whoop, whoop.
Mm-hmm.
Or, and this is even better, you can leave us a voice message on our hotline at 402-718-9971.
Yep.
And
Also,
you might
using a HubSpot
Cheers.
inbox for both of
Yeah,
those. They come into an inbox
conversation
and get
inbox.
assigned to Zach to deal with.
And you might hear yourself and your own Bronx grandmother voice on the
all
podcast
the Bronx grandmas
at
call
another
in.
time.
And I do need to just shout out for our next episode coming in a couple of weeks. The cocktail there is going to be the Rusty Nail. So we'll learn what that is all about. There's a bar near my old house that was called the Rusty Nail that apparently had really good bar food, and we never went, but so be it.
Just hearing the Rusty Nail makes me want a cheese ball.
Oh, that does sound good too. But the topic, more importantly, aside from the drink, is going to be the power of a theme-driven content strategy. And my guess is that our special guest is none other than producer Zach, because he's doing all the content stuff for us. So join us next time,
kiddo.
and definitely check us out. Give us feedback. We love the feedback, and we'll catch you then.
Bye.